February 19th, 1945. Morning. Green Beach 1, Iwo Jima. Black volcanic ash. Air temperature 71 degrees. Wind northeast. Corporal Tony Stein crouches behind a disabled Amtrak with a weapon that will either save his platoon or destroy his career in the next 6 hours. It's a Browning aircraft machine gun, ripped from a wrecked Navy fighter and rebuilt in secret. Every modification violates Marine Corps regulations. Using it means court-martial. Not using it means 43 men die right here on this beach. He's 24, a toolmaker from Dayton, Ohio. Learned to weld before he could shave. 200 yards ahead, Japanese machine guns are tearing his company apart. Marines screaming. Mortar rounds every 4 seconds. The beach smells like sulfur and burning flesh. Lieutenant Edward Wells sees the weapon. His face goes white. "Corporal, what the hell is that?" Stein doesn't turn around. "Stinger, sir." "That's not approved equipment. Put it down. Now." "Can't do that, sir." 300 Marines pinned on black sand. 62 already dead in the first hour. The standard Marine machine gun weighs 35 pounds, needs 3 men to operate, overheats after 2 minutes. Stein's weapon weighs 11 pounds. 1 man, fires 1,200 rounds per minute, fast enough to cut through concrete. Wells is screaming about regulations, about unauthorized modifications, about how Stein will face charges the moment they get off this beach, if they get off this beach. Stein checks the weapon, 24 pounds lighter than standard issue. The barrel is thin, aircraft grade, not designed for what he's about to do. It might explode in his hands, might jam after the first belt, might hold together just long enough to matter. Right now, a company is dying. Every second he hesitates, more men bleed out in the ash. The choice is simple and terrible. Use the weapon, save the platoon, lose everything, follow orders, watch them all die, keep his rank. He stands up. The Stinger roars, 15 rounds per second. The sound cuts through every other noise on the beach. Higher, faster, angrier. 3-second burst puts 45 rounds into a concrete pillbox. The pillbox goes silent. Stein swings to a second target, another burst, another dead pillbox. Wells stops yelling. Watches Japanese positions collapse like dominoes. Stein reloads. 100 rounds on a canvas belt. Every 5th round glows red. Tracer. He's carrying 20 belts total, smuggled in his pack. Nobody checked. Nobody thought an American Marine would bring an illegal weapon to war. First 12 minutes. 200 rounds fired. 4 pillboxes destroyed. 7 Japanese soldiers confirmed dead. The Stinger is already overheating. Barrel glowing dull red. Still functional. Wells makes a choice. Stops trying to confiscate the weapon. Keys his radio. All units, Corporal Stein is now primary assault element. Give him whatever he needs. The weapon was built 3 weeks ago by Sergeant Mel Grevich on a troop ship sailing from Hawaii. Grevich salvaged the receiver from a crash dive bomber on Bougainville, carried it through 2 campaigns, waiting. He welded on a Garand buttstock, Browning bipod, rigged a trigger from scavenged parts, built 6 total in a machine shop after midnight, gave 1 to Stein because Stein understood how machines break. Now that machine is the only thing between A Company and annihilation. Stein fires again. The beach shakes. Japanese positions crumble, and somewhere in the underground tunnels, enemy commanders start to notice. The Stinger is eating ammunition like nothing in the Marine Corps inventory. 1,200 rounds per minute means Stein burns through a 100-round belt in 5 seconds of sustained fire. He's almost dry. Decision time. Stein rips off his helmet, kicks off his boots. The volcanic ash sears his bare feet, but he's faster this way. Lighter. He sprints toward the beach supply dump. 180 yards through a crossfire. Japanese snipers track him. Rounds kick up black ash around his feet. He doesn't slow down. Private Nash Phillips watches from a shell hole. Later he'll say, "I thought he was hit. Nobody runs like that unless they're dying or insane." Stein hits the supply dump, grabs 3 ammunition belts. That's when he sees Private Robert Bass, face down in the sand, shrapnel in both legs, screaming, bleeding out, no hesitation. Stein pulls Bass up, drapes him across his shoulders. 160 pounds of wounded Marine, 60 pounds of ammunition and weapon. Barefoot sprint back through the same sniper fire. He drops Bass with a corpsman, reloads the Stinger. Starts firing. Second run. Corporal James Mitchell, bullet through the shoulder. Mitchell is delirious, asking if they've won yet. Stein doesn't answer, just runs. Third run. PFC Donald Rule, concussed from a mortar blast. Can barely stand. The pattern locks in. Fire until empty. Sprint to beach. Ammunition. Wounded man. Back under fire. Reload. Repeat. Wells is counting, watching one Marine do the work of 9 men. He radios Battalion. We need more ammunition for the Stinger, whatever Stein's using. Major John Antonelli receives the call. He fought at Bougainville, watched Marines die because their weapons were too heavy, too slow, too weak. He's observing Stein through binoculars from 200 yards back. Watches the Barefoot sprints. Watches pillboxes going dark. Antonelli doesn't mention regulations, doesn't file a report, just orders the supply teams to set aside aircraft ammunition for A Company. Doesn't log it, doesn't explain it, makes sure Stein has what he needs. Fourth run. Stein's feet are shredded, black ash mixing with blood. He ignores it, grabs 4 belts this time, sees Navy Corpsman John Bradley pinned by sniper fire. Bradley is trying to reach wounded Marines 30 yards away. Can't move. Stein empties a belt into the sniper position. Rock and body parts explode. Bradley scrambles to the casualties. Stein doesn't wait for thanks. He's already running back. By noon, 1,800 rounds fired, 8 pillboxes gone, 15 enemy dead, 8 Marines saved. A company has advanced 300 yards inland. Every other unit is still dying at the waterline. And in the tunnels beneath Suribachi, Japanese Lieutenant Yoshio Imai is reading reports that don't make sense. American advance in his sector is 3 hours ahead of schedule. Pillbox is failing too fast. His radio crackles. Observer's voice. Single American, light machine gun, very fast. Imai orders his reserve squad forward. 12 men. 1 mission. Kill the machine gunner. The Japanese squad emerges from a spider hole 80 yards out. 12 riflemen moving in practiced formation. Using terrain. Disciplined. Stein doesn't see them until they're 60 yards away. He swings the Stinger right. The 11-pound weapon pivots like a rifle. First burst catches 3 soldiers crossing open ground. They drop like puppets with cut strings. Second burst. The others dive for cover. Return fire. A round hits the Stinger's barrel shroud. Metal screams. Another hits the bipod. The weapon spins out of Stein's hands, crashes into the ash 3 feet away. Stein lunges, grabs it, checks the action. Barrel intact. Feed mechanism good. The shroud is bent, but the gun works. He keeps firing. Private Joseph Franklin is 20 yards away in a shell hole. He'll write home later. The gun got shot out of his hands twice in 30 seconds. Both times he just picked it up. Didn't even blink. Kept shooting. I've never seen anything like it. The Japanese pull back. 7 dead. 4 wounded. Imai gets the casualty report. Does the math. At this rate, his entire sector collapses by sunset. He radios General Kuribayashi. Requests permission for a counterattack. Kuribayashi, commanding all forces on Iwo Jima, denies it immediately. Hold your positions. Fight from fortifications. No banzai charges. No wasted lives. Imai protests. The American machine gunner is destroying our defensive system. Kuribayashi's response is cold. 1 man cannot defeat 800. You're seeing ghosts. But 1 man with the right weapon can do exactly that. Stein encounters his worst nightmare. 3 interconnected pillboxes, mutually supporting fields of fire. Reinforced concrete, each position mounting a Type 92 heavy machine gun. Approaching from any direction means taking fire from multiple angles. He studies the setup for 90 seconds. Finds the flaw. The northern pillbox's firing port faces south-southwest, can't traverse far enough north. Stein signals Corporal Richard Fisk. Fisk has a satchel charge. 3 words. 30 seconds. North. Fisk nods. Stein stands, fully exposed. Fires directly into the center pillbox. Sustained burst. 15 seconds continuous. 300 rounds into a space 3 feet wide. The interior becomes a metal storm. The gunner ducks. Fisk runs. 8 seconds to cover 40 yards. Throws the charge through the entrance. Dives. The explosion collapses the northern pillbox. Stein shifts to the southern position. Another burst. Silence. 42 seconds. 3 pillboxes neutralized. It becomes the new tactic. Stein suppresses. Demo teams move. The combination is devastating. Then Stein's Stinger goes dry mid-engagement. No time for a beach run. He grabs a dead Marine's M1 Garand, keeps advancing. For 20 minutes, a company's momentum dies. The advance slows to a crawl. The moment Stein gets more Stinger ammunition, everything accelerates again. Wells watches this happen, understands something fundamental. The weapon matters, the man matters. Together they're unstoppable. Temperature climbs to 76 degrees, wind shifts southwest, ash everywhere, and Stein keeps firing. 8th ammunition run. Stein is carrying Corpsman Bradley now. Bradley took a sniper round through the leg, treating casualties in the open. Bradley protests. "Leave me. Get the ammunition." Stein ignores him. Carries both Bradley and ammo belts back to the line. He's hunting now. Methodical. A fortified mortar pit has been dropping rounds on A Company all afternoon. 12 Marines dead from that single position. Stein can't get a direct shot. The pit is protected by sandbag walls reinforced with steel plates. He tries something new. Fires at the wall itself. 100 rounds at 1200 per minute. The sustained fire shreds the sandbags. Sand explodes outward. Protection disintegrates. The mortar crew panics. Abandons position. Stein catches them in the open. They don't make it far. By 4 p.m., a company secures the day's objective. 340 yards of advance. 38 dead. 62 wounded. Wells does battlefield math. Expected casualties for this advance. 90 plus dead. Stein cut losses by more than half. Wells writes a field report. 12 pillboxes destroyed. 23 confirmed kills. 8 wounded evacuated under fire. All attributable to one corporal with an illegal weapon. The report goes to Battalion. Major Antonelli reads it, says nothing, files it. Next morning, Wells tells Stein, "Battalion wants to see you. Bring the weapon." Stein walks to command post expecting court-martial. Major Antonelli is waiting. So is Lieutenant Colonel Chandler Johnson, commanding the battalion. Johnson examines the Stinger. He's an engineer, sees immediately what Grevich accomplished. "How many rounds through this?" 2200, sir. "Barrel condition?" "Degraded. Heat stress. Still functional." Johnson nods. Makes his decision. "The weapon stays in the field. Operational necessity." He pauses. "After we secure this island, I'll recommend development of lighter machine guns for Marine infantry. You proved the concept works." Stein waits for the hammer to fall. Johnson continues. "You saved at least 40 Marines yesterday. We're not taking the gun. We're giving you more ammunition. No court-martial, no charges. Official approval of an unauthorized weapon." The conversation lasts 4 minutes. That afternoon, Stein receives 400 more rounds, logged as miscellaneous .30-06 ammunition. Translation, keep doing what you're doing. February 23rd. The 28th Marines reach Suribachi's summit. A flag goes up. 3 hours later, a bigger flag. Joe Rosenthal photographs 6 Marines raising it. The image will become the most famous photograph of the war. Stein is 400 yards east. Suppressing Japanese positions. The Stinger fires. Pillboxes fall silent. The flag goes up behind him. He never sees it happen. He's too busy killing. Day 6. February 24th. The 28th Marines pivot north toward Hill 362A. Intelligence reports heavy fortifications. Extensive tunnels. Kuribayashi's best troops. Stein's Stinger has fired over 4,000 rounds. The barrel is dying. Rifling destroyed. Accuracy failing. He compensates by getting closer, 50 yards instead of 75. The weapon is on borrowed time. Aircraft guns weren't built for this. Every burst brings it closer to catastrophic failure. Stein knows, keeps firing anyway. Japanese artillery opens up. Real artillery. 75mm guns in hidden caves. 3 rounds land within 30 yards. Shrapnel screams through the air. One piece, 3 inches of jagged steel, punches through Stein's left shoulder. Lodges against bone. He goes down. The Stinger falls beside him. Blood turns his jacket black. Corpsman arrives, checks the wound. "You're done. Hospital ship." Stein tries to sit up. "I can still shoot." "Not with that shoulder. You can't even lift the weapon." They carry him to the beach, load him onto an Amtrak, transport to USS Samaritan 12 miles offshore. Navy surgeon extracts the shrapnel. 2 hours of surgery. Stein wakes in a recovery ward. Clean sheets, no gunfire, no ash, quiet. Doctors say 2 weeks minimum recovery, maybe 3. Orders back to Hawaii. 4 days later, Stein hears the news. The 28th Marines are getting shredded at Hill 362A, a company down to 60% strength. Lieutenant Wells dead. Corporal Fisk dead. Half the men he served with gone. That night, Stein leaves the ward, finds a supply officer, demands transport back to his unit. The officer checks records. Your combat ineffective. Request denied. Stein waits until 3 a.m., sneaks onto a landing craft carrying supplies and replacements, hides in the cargo. The coxswain doesn't notice until they're halfway to shore. Too late to turn back. March 1st. Dawn. Stein reaches the beach, finds what's left of a company. New lieutenant. The man doesn't know Stein. Doesn't know he's supposed to be recovering on a hospital ship. Sees a corporal with combat experience. Immediately assigns him to a 19-man reconnaissance patrol. Mission: locate Japanese machine gun positions north of Hill 362A. Stein volunteers for point. Someone hands him an M1 Garand. The Stinger is gone. Another Marine using it now. The patrol moves out. 50 yards into no man's land. Morning air cool. 64 degrees. Wind calm. Stein leads, scans for targets, sees movement ahead. A single shot cracks the morning silence. Corporal Tony Stein dies instantly. Sniper's bullet to the head. 24 years old. 2 years, 5 months in the Marine Corps. At least 38 confirmed kills. 21 pillboxes destroyed. 8 lives saved. The patrol recovers his body, completes the mission, returns at 0940 hours. Lieutenant Colonel Johnson gets the casualty report at 1100 hours, reads it twice, silent for 30 seconds. Then, submit him for Medal of Honor. Document everything he did, all of it. The Medal of Honor citation is written in March. 15 Marines provide eyewitness statements. All 15 confirm the same impossible story. Private Nash Phillips writes the most detailed account. Stein moved like he knew the future. No hesitation, no wasted motion. The Japanese couldn't adjust fast enough. By the time they shot at where he was, he'd already moved. I watched him for 6 hours. Never saw him panic. Never saw him slow down. Never saw him quit. Major Antonelli provides the technical analysis. Standard M 1919. A 6 operations would need 3-man teams to match what Stein did alone. His actions accelerated, a company's advance by 4 hours minimum. 4 hours means 40 fewer Marines exposed to Japanese fire. Conservative estimate, Stein saved 20 to 30 lives through pure firepower and speed. Corporal Fisk's final report, written before he died, states, Stein made impossible shots routine. The Stinger wasn't magic. He made it work because he understood the weapon completely, knew its limits, knew how to compensate. Any other Marine would have died in the first hour. Lieutenant Wells's last words about Stein, recorded 2 days before a sniper killed him. That unauthorized weapon saved this company. Stein's initiative saved lives. The Marine Corps needs to pay attention. The citation reaches Washington in April. Secretary of the Navy, James Forrestal, reviews it personally. Approves it. The Medal of Honor citation does something unusual. Most citations describe actions. This one credits the weapon by name. Personally improvised aircraft-type weapon. The medal is presented to Stein's widow, Joan, on February 19, 1946, exactly 1 year after Iwo Jima. Ceremony in Dayton, Ohio. Joan accepts the medal, doesn't speak, just holds it, stares at the blue ribbon. She married Tony 6 months before he deployed. They had 14 days together as husband and wife. That's all they got. The Stinger itself vanishes. All 6 weapons Grevich built are lost in post-war chaos. Nobody tracked unauthorized equipment. Nobody documented where they went. Scrapped, probably. Dumped in the ocean. Gone. No photographs of the weapon itself exist. Only pictures of Stein holding it before the invasion. The technical specs die with Grevich in 1993. He never discussed it publicly, never gave interviews, never wrote anything down. How he mounted the trigger, what wire he used. how he reinforced the receiver, all that knowledge dies with him. Attempts to recreate the Stinger produce functional replicas, close, but not exact. The original is gone forever. But the tactical lesson survives. Weapon weight matters as much as firepower. 17 pounds carried by 2 men is less effective than 11 pounds in one Marine's hands. Obvious now, controversial in 1945, still debated today. And somewhere in a filing cabinet at Marine Corps headquarters, Lieutenant Colonel Johnson's recommendation sits gathering dust. Develop lightweight automatic weapons for infantry use. Stein proved the concept under combat conditions. The recommendation is ignored for 15 years. Then someone remembers. 1960, the M60 machine gun enters service, 23 pounds, still needs 2-man teams, closer to Stein's concept than the old M1919, but not close enough. Marine Corps doctrine still favors crew-served weapons, heavy, reliable, predictable, but in Vietnam, young Marines humping through jungle start asking questions. Why does this weigh so much? Why do we need 3 guys to operate it? Why can't one man carry enough firepower? Someone pulls the Iwo Jima after-action reports, finds Stein's story, finds Johnson's recommendation from 1945. Lightweight automatic weapon, 1-man operation, high rate of fire. 15 years late, the Corps starts paying attention. 1980s, squad automatic weapon program begins. The military finally admits what Stein proved in 1945. 1 Marine with the right weapon beats 3 men with the wrong one. M249 SAW emerges, 17 pounds. Fires 5.56 millimeters at 850 rounds per minute. 1-man operable. Different caliber than the Stinger. Different mechanism, but identical concept. Give 1 Marine enough firepower to suppress multiple positions. No gun team required. Modern Marines carrying the M249 don't know about Tony Stein, don't know about the Stinger. The institutional memory faded, but the tactical requirement he proved never went away. 2010. M27 infantry automatic rifle, 8 pounds. 1-man operation, higher accuracy, lower sustained fire rate, still searching for the perfect balance, still trying to recreate what Stein had for 6 days in February 1945. The Stinger concept has never been perfectly replicated. Aviation machine guns remain too light for ground combat. Ground machine guns remain too heavy for individual mobility. The perfect compromise exists somewhere between the two. Stein found it. Nobody has found it since. Sergeant Mel Grevich survives the war, returns to Pennsylvania, works as a machinist for 48 years, never builds another Stinger, never discusses it publicly, dies in 1993 at 71. No interviews, no memoirs, no technical documentation. The few Marines who use the other 5 Stingers stay silent. Most die before anyone thinks to ask. The survivors who make it to the interview era either don't remember or choose not to discuss unauthorized weapons modifications. By 1970, the Stinger exists only in official reports. By 1990, it's a footnote. By 2010, forgotten except by historians researching Iwo Jima. The weapon is gone. The men who built it are dead. The technical specs are lost. What remains is a principle the military rediscovers every generation. When standard equipment fails battlefield requirements, someone will improvise. Sometimes that improvisation works better than anything official procurement produces. Tony Stein proved this, February 19, 1945. The Marine Corps took 40 years to learn the lesson. In 1977, USS Stein, a Knox-class destroyer escort, is commissioned in his honor. Serves 22 years. Decommissioned 1999, sold for scrap 2002. The name survives in naval records. The man behind it is mostly forgotten, but every Marine carrying a light machine gun into combat is using a weapon that exists because one toolmaker from Ohio broke the rules and saved 43 lives. They just don't know it. Arlington National Cemetery. Section 12, Grave 479A. White marble headstone. Standard issue. Lists his rank, his unit. Medal of Honor. Doesn't mention the Stinger. Doesn't mention running barefoot through enemy fire for 6 hours. Doesn't mention the 8 ammunition runs. The citation is 193 words. Most Medal of Honor actions last minutes, sometimes seconds. 1 moment of extraordinary courage. Stein's citation covers 6 hours of sustained combat, multiple actions, multiple decisions, each one individually unremarkable, collectively overwhelming. What the citation doesn't capture A toolmaker from Ohio saw that standard equipment was killing Marines, didn't submit a report, didn't wait for authorization, didn't request permission, saw the problem, built a solution, used it, accepted the consequences. The Stinger worked because Stein understood what the weapon needed to accomplish. Lighter weight for mobility, higher rate of fire for suppression, reliable enough to function under combat stress. He wasn't an engineer, wasn't a weapons designer, was a toolmaker who knew how machines worked and how they failed. That knowledge is why the Stinger existed, why it functioned for 6 days without exploding, why Stein could maintain it under fire, diagnose problems, keep it running when it should have killed him. Modern military equipment development, years, committees, testing, acquisition processes, millions of dollars. The Stinger, 3 weeks, 2 Marines, salvaged parts, welding torch, performed better than weapons costing fortunes to develop. That gap still exists. Official weapons lag behind battlefield requirements. When they do, Marines improvise, modify, adapt. The tradition didn't start with Stein, didn't end with him, continues today. But Stein's version was perfect. For 6 days, 1 Marine with 1 weapon changed how an entire company fought, made impossible advances possible, turned certain death into acceptable risk. Did it with a gun that officially didn't exist, using tactics that weren't in any manual. Arlington receives 4 million visitors annually. Most walk past Section 12 without stopping. Stein's grave looks like thousands of others, white marble, simple inscription, grass trimmed. Occasionally someone stops, reads the name, sees Medal of Honor. Doesn't know the full story. Doesn't know about the Stinger or the Barefoot sprints or the ammunition runs. Knows only that this Marine did something extraordinary February 19, 1945. That's sufficient. The weapon is gone. The man is gone. The innovation mostly forgotten. What remains is a principle. When the mission requires doing the impossible and standard equipment can't accomplish it, someone will find a way. Regulations be damned. Consequences be damned. Lives saved matter more than careers preserved. Tony Stein, Corporal, United States Marine Corps, 1921 to 1945. Toolmaker, machine gunner, Medal of Honor recipient, problem solver. The kind of Marine the Corps doesn't know how to create, can only recognize after the fact. The complete story emerges slowly. Pieces surface in different archives over decades. Field reports from Wells, technical analysis from Antonelli, eyewitness statements from surviving Marines. Each document adds details, none provide the complete picture. 1995, 50th anniversary of Iwo Jima. Marine Corps releases declassified after-action reports. Buried in those documents, Johnson's recommendation for lightweight automatic weapon development, filed March 1945, ignored for 15 years, rediscovered during M60 development. The recommendation mentions Stein by name, credits him with proving the tactical concept under combat conditions, suggests immediate development of a purpose-built weapon in the 11 to 14-pound range. The suggestion goes nowhere. The M60, when it arrives, weighs 23 pounds. 2003. A metallurgist and military historian attempts to recreate the Stinger. Sources an AN/M2 receiver, acquires period-correct buttstock and bipod, fabricates a solenoid trigger. The weapon functions, fires successfully, weighs 12 pounds, slightly heavier than Stein's. He tests it extensively. Discovers the aircraft barrel can't handle sustained ground fire. After 600 rounds, heat stress causes warping. After 1200, accuracy degrades badly. After 1800, the barrel is destroyed. Stein fired over 4,000 rounds through his Stinger. The metallurgist concludes Stein must have been replacing barrels, but no records indicate he had spares. More likely, Stein operated the weapon far beyond design limits through precise fire discipline and cooling management. 3-second bursts, letting the barrel cool between engagements, exactly what a toolmaker would do. The recreation demonstrates the Stinger's success depended as much on how it was used as what it was. Different hands, different outcome. That replica now sits in a private collection. Occasionally displayed at military exhibitions, viewers see crude welding, mismatched parts. Nothing impressive. Don't see the engineering required to make incompatible components work together. Don't see the metallurgical knowledge to keep an aircraft barrel functional under ground combat stress. Don't see the innovation. The weapon looks primitive, was actually sophisticated in invisible ways. 2015. 70 years after Iwo Jima. 3 surviving veterans of the 28th Marines attend a memorial ceremony, all 3 in their 90s. Former Private James Cooper served in A Company, remembers Stein. Cooper tells a reporter, "Tony saved my life, probably saved everyone's life that day. We were dead men until he started moving. The sound of that gun was different, faster, louder. When you heard it, you knew someone was fighting back. Gave us hope. Sounds stupid, but that's what it was. Hope in the form of a machine gun." Cooper dies 6 months later. Last living Marine who witnessed Stein's Medal of Honor action. When he dies, the first-hand memory dies with him. What remains? Documents, citations, reports, second-hand accounts. The story becomes history. History becomes legend. Legend fades to footnotes. But the principle survives. February 19, 1945, Thursday, clear sky, moderate wind, temperature low 70s, good weather for an invasion, terrible weather for dying. 300 Marines hit Green Beach 1 that morning. By nightfall, 62 dead, 93 wounded, 45 missing, most of them dead too. The Japanese defensive system was designed to inflict exactly those casualties. It was working perfectly. Until 9:02 a.m., when one corporal with an unauthorized weapon stood up and broke the system. 1 man, 1 weapon, 6 hours. Final accounting, 12 pillboxes destroyed, 23 confirmed kills, probably more. 8 wounded evacuated. Company advance accelerated 4 hours. Casualties reduced by roughly 50%. Cost, 1 corporal, age 24, dead 6 days later. The mathematics are brutal but clear. Stein traded his life for roughly 30 Marines. Didn't know he was making that trade. Couldn't have known. But the math works regardless of intention. The United States military has spent 70 years trying to replicate what Stein accomplished in 6 days. Lighter weapons, higher fire rates, one-man operation. M249 comes close. M27 comes closer. Neither achieves the exact combination the Stinger provided. Maybe because the Stinger wasn't really a weapon system. It was a specific tool built for a specific man for a specific mission. Grevich knew Stein's capabilities, built the weapon to match. Different Marine, different weapon required. The Stinger worked because Stein made it work. That's the real lesson. Equipment matters. Training matters. But at the critical moment, it's the individual Marine who makes the difference. Their knowledge, their initiative, their willingness to break rules when rules are killing people. The Marine Corps officially discourages unauthorized weapon modifications. For good reasons. Safety, standardization, logistics. But unofficially, institutionally, the Corps understands that sometimes the mission requires breaking rules. Sometimes approved equipment isn't good enough. Sometimes a toolmaker from Ohio has better ideas than the entire procurement bureaucracy. The Corps gave Stein a Medal of Honor instead of a court-martial because his violations saved lives. That precedent matters, sets an example, tells future Marines that initiative and results matter more than strict doctrine. Tony Stein's grave in Arlington is one of 400,000. Nothing distinguishes it except Medal of Honor on white marble. Visitors see the medal, don't see the man, don't see the toolmaker who understood machines, don't see the Marine who ran barefoot through hell 8 times because doctrine didn't account for how fast the Stinger consumed ammunition. Don't see the innovation that changed Marine Corps thinking about automatic weapons. Don't see the tactical lessons that influenced equipment development for 70 years. They see a name, a date, a medal. That's enough. The complete story exists in archives, in reports, in analyses, in statements from Marines mostly dead now. The story exists. Few know it. Fewer care. But it matters. Because 70 years later, Marines still carry automatic weapons into combat, still make ammunition runs under fire, still evacuate wounded under impossible conditions, still break regulations when regulations conflict with saving lives, still innovate, still adapt, still win through initiative rather than doctrine. Tony Stein proved that approach works, paid for the proof with his life. The lesson survived. Tony Stein, Corporal, United States Marine Corps, Medal of Honor, February 19th, 1945. 6 hours that changed everything. Then silence. That's legacy enough.